This young man once crushed the martial world with his fists, striking fear into all. Dan Wusung, known more as the Fist King than by his real name, met his end through a foul betrayal by the demonic faction. He thought he would ascend to the heavens, but his soul was reborn into the body of the eldest son of the wealthy Unha merchant group, drowning in riches. The problem? This new body is frail and scrawny, weak enough to make most retire. But not him. Blood debts demand repayment, and even wealth won't stop his quest for vengeance in style. Thus, he sets out, with iron fists and a limitless black card. His revenge powered by martial prowess and financial might begins here. To follow this thrilling tale of fists and fury, we must start with that fateful day. The day Dan Wusung was betrayed, ambushed by the lackeys of the demonic faction. In a cowardly attack, barehanded, Dan Wusung faced them head-on. Even as they wielded weapons, he grabbed one, and unleashed a barrage of punches. But none could strike the enemy's weak point. Another foe, hidden, was using dark magic to suppress his strength. And so, Dan Wusung fell under their blades. His power was suppressed and he lost too much blood, causing him to die before the shadows of the two traitors. At that moment, in a secluded spot on Mount Juha, at the in-family estate, Dan Wusung's soul was reborn into the frail body of a young noble. At first, he thought someone had slapped a mask on his face. But finding no seams, he slapped himself to check if it was real or a dream. This startled a young maid, who froze before running off to fetch the physician. Sitting in the room, Dan Wusung realized this was not some plot by the demonic faction to finish him off. He was determined to uncover who he had become. But the moment he tried to step out of bed, this weak body buckled, like a newborn fawn. Glancing at a ledger on the table, he discovered this was the Unha Merchant Group, a powerful trading organization. The owner of this body was none other than Lee Jin-eon, the group's eldest young master. Just then, Gongsun Myung, Lee Jin-eon's personal physician, burst in with a fake smile plastered on his face. Dan Wusung recognized him instantly, a vile, venomous snake who strikes from behind. The physician brought chicken broth, claiming it was nourishing. But it was poison for this frail body, useless for anyone not already healthy. Gongsun Myung's panic stemmed from Lee Jin-eon's sudden recovery. Dan Wusung refused the broth and politely sent the schemer packing. At that moment, he realized the Dragon Phoenix Tournament 200 was approaching, meaning his death was recent. The demonic faction that killed him still lived, as did that treacherous physician. Surrounded by enemies deserving of destruction, Dan Wusung vowed to take them down this time, with a single, devastating punch. Moments later, the table was laden with a feast of dishes. Good heavens, the maids chirped, is the young master eating so heartily again today? He has been living on watery porridge lately. Indeed, his appetite has returned, a sign he is ready to step out and stretch his legs. At that moment, a hand flung open the door, and Dan Wusung, fresh from a bath, strode out. He eyed the maids and said, "Breakfast is ready, well done. You may leave now. Hurry to the table," he added, "keep breakfast simple like this from now on." "Understood, yes, sir," they replied, retreating while whispering among themselves, noting how much healthier he looked. "I told you so," said the maids. As he picked up a steaming rice ball to eat, a voice interrupted. "Let us see who this is." "Young master, it is me, Gongsun Myung." The maids scurried in a fluster, calling, "Young master." Dan Wusung frowned, irritated. "Come in," he said curtly. In stepped Gongsun Myung, and Dan Wusung could not help but chuckle. This guy's manners are atrocious. The physician put on his usual fake smile. "Young master," he began. Dan Wusung shot him a glance, thinking, I still can't fathom why I would ever bow to a snake like him. Then, with a sly grin, he said, "How about we play a game and catch a rat?" Holding a cup of water, he asked, "What is the matter?" Gongsun Myung, ever the actor, replied, "What is the matter, you say? I was worried sick since you have been out of sight, so I came to check on you. But you seem different lately, do not you?" His tone dripped with false concern. Dan Wusung smirked, his face full of disdain. "Different, you mean your efforts?" He sneered, "Like that chicken broth you brought, the one that nearly killed me." Caught off guard, Gongsun Myung flinched. Quickly regaining his composure, he flashed another fake smile. "Young master, you misunderstand. That broth was a tonic, excellent for nourishing the body." But Dan Wusung waved him off. "Is that so? I thought it was poison meant for me." Gongsun Myung's jaw dropped. "Poison? I am Gongsun Myung, your personal physician," he protested, bowing dramatically. If I am not welcome, I will take my leave. As he turned to go, Dan Wusung's voice stopped him cold. Physician Gongsun, he said, his tone fierce and commanding. You barge in uninvited and now leave without permission. Who is the master here? Gongsun Myung froze, intimidated. Then Dan Wusung laughed mockingly. Just kidding. Pointing ahead, he said, I need to send a letter. Fetch the brush and ink from the table. Yes, right away, Gongsun Myung stammered, scrambling to comply. As Dan Wusung ate, he continued, I will dictate, you write. The physician nodded eagerly. Yes, young master, go ahead. Dan Wusung began. The eldest young master, Li Jin Eon, is gravely ill and may need to remain at the secluded estate longer. I have survived this far, now tell me, what is my next step? Guide me on the path forward. Gongsun Myung paused mid-writing. Dan Wusung's face darkened. Why'd you stop? Keep writing. The physician forced a nervous laugh. Young master, this is a bit. Before he could finish, something shot past his neck with blinding speed, smashing through the wall with such force it left a hole. Gongsun Myung, trembling, touched the scratch on his neck. Dan Wusung's voice was deadly serious. Listen, old man, I am not the Li Jin Eon you knew. Understand? Terrified, Gongsun Myung stammered, young master, I do not know what you mean. Dan Wusung laid it bare. That chicken broth, it is fine for a healthy man. But for someone as frail as this body, it is poison. As a physician, you would know that better than anyone. Did you think I would not notice you checking my pulse when I was barely alive? I see through all your schemes. Got anything to say? His face was expressionless as he continued. And when I refused your broth, I told you to take it away. Get rid of it now. He stared at Gongsun Myung, whose face betrayed his malicious intent. What a fool, unable to hide his true colors. The physician's expression twisted with anger and reluctance. Dan Wusung pressed on. I know you did not act alone. Write down the name of whoever ordered you to do this. Gongsun Myung, unashamed, retorted, young master, why suspect me? Haven't I faithfully cared for your health? He launched into another performance. But Dan Wusung's murderous glare silenced him. The physician's mask finally slipped. You are clever, are not you, sniffing out my act, he sneered. Dan Wusung replied coolly, so, the real face comes out at last. Gongsun Myung raised a hand. I offered you a way out, but you chose the foolish path. His gaze flicked toward the maids. No matter, I will silence them all to keep this quiet. Drawing a weapon, Gongsun Myung lunged. But Dan Wusung, like a demon unleashed, raised his hand and delivered a single, crushing blow to the physician's head, making him spit blood. Still holding a chicken drumstick, Dan Wusung scolded, I am talking to you, do not turn away. Taking a big bite, he snapped, is that how you address your superior? His hand, now red from the strike, contrasted with Gongsun Myung, who slumped motionless, blood pooling beneath him. Dan Wusung sighed inwardly. This pitiful body hitting him hurts me too. Staring at his hand, he resolved to rebuild his strength immediately. Looking at Gongsun Myung, he thought, once I recover my power, I do not care who is behind this, even if it is the entire Unha merchant group. Spitting out a bone, he decided he would investigate Gongsun Myung thoroughly upon returning to the merchant group. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness hit. Clutching his head in pain, Dan Wusung gasped, my head. A voice echoed in his mind, startling him. Images flashed Gongsun Myung, Li Jin Eon, moments from the past. These are not my memories. Fragments of Li Jin Eon's life flooded in, from childhood to adulthood. Tears rolled down Dan Wusung's cheeks as he whispered. So that is how it is. Li Jin Eon, the eldest son of the wealthy Unha merchant group, was outshone by his smarter second brother and stronger third brother. A talentless heir, he tried to compensate with wealth, only to sink into vanity and neglect. When he sought to change, it was too late, his health collapsed, and he was sent to this secluded exile, abandoned by his family. As night fell, Dan Wusung gazed at the scenery, reflecting. If these memories are real, the clan has forsaken him, treating him as if he never existed. He sighed. Without this body's memories before, I was at a disadvantage. But now, I can train without fear of exposing my identity. Frowning at his still red hand, he thought, what a waste, a body with martial potential, discarded. With his prior knowledge and some spiritual herbs, he could quickly break through to new realms. Then he paused. Wait, glancing at the glittering treasures around him, he realized. With money, can't I buy anything, spiritual herbs included? Noticing Gongsun Myung still lying motionless from his blow, Dan Wusung turned his attention outward. Spring sunlight bathed the courtyard. As the maids swept outside, a year had passed. A figure approached, asking the maids, "Is everyone doing well?" It was Mok in Hyopi, a guard from the Unha Merchant Group's escort team. Smiling, he said, "I have a letter for the eldest young master, Lee Jin Eon." "Where is he?" A maid cheerfully pointed. "He is over there, sir." Mok in Hyop's eyes widened in disbelief. The robust figure before him was Lee Jin Eon. Dan Wusung had trained this body into formidable strength. Mok in Hyopi stared, wondering, is this really the eldest young master, Lee Jin Eon? The rain had come and gone several times. In that period, Dan Wusung had forged a dantian and etched essential martial techniques into this new body. From the 5 elements footwork to the 5 elements movement and lightness skill, all enabled lightning fast speed in an instant. He would also mastered the White Lightning 10-stage technique, a martial art that harnessed the power of thunder. His body was now lean and muscular, boasting a 6-pack, and he would reach the 4th stage of cultivation. Everything was progressing smoothly. But then, a surge of pressure rippled across the ground. Dan Wusung leapt, defying gravity. A falling leaf was obliterated by the force he emitted. Still, he was not satisfied. Not enough. A voice broke his focus. "Young Master Lee Jin Eon." Mok in Hyopi, a guard from the escort team, bowed respectfully. "It has been a while, sir. I bring a letter from the family." Dan Wusung extended his hand. "Let us see it." Mok in Hyopi, still reeling, thought, "What is this? Isn't this the young master I knew? How is he so different now?" His thoughts were cut short by Dan Wusung's impatient snap. "Hurry up, my arm's getting tired." "Yes, sir." They sat at a table, and Dan Wusung read the letter intently, his expression darkening. "Father's bedridden," he mused, puzzled. No mention of what caused it. Mok in Hyopi hesitated. "It is likely due to the Goyong clan. You know we pay protection fees to them for the merchant group. Those fees keep rising, beyond what we can afford." Dan Wusung sighed. "What has the Goyong clan done to earn our money?" Mok in Hyop's face twisted with anger, like a snarling dog. "Nothing. Those bastards just." Dan Wusung cut in, confused. "Who?" Mok explained, "When the Shaoshan sect imposed unfair taxes on our trade, the Goyong clan claimed they would only intervene if the Unha merchant group's head faced trouble. Then they ignored us." He sighed. "Since Marquis Goyong leads the city's guard, no one dares complain." Dan Wusung's eyes narrowed. "Marquis Goyong, a name I have heard in the martial world. If I know of him, he is no ordinary master." Smirking, he said, "So, in his eyes, we are just nobodies, huh?" Then, aloud, "If we deal with the Goyong clan, will things stabilize?" Mok in Hyopi stared, thinking, "Deal with them," he replied. "There is another reason for the family head's illness. The 2nd and 3rd young masters clashed with swords, fighting for power. The family head witnessed it and collapsed." Dan Wusung's face tightened, imagining the scene. No wonder father's spirit broke. Sons drawing blades in front of him, that is unthinkable. Mok in Hyopi, flustered, tried to reassure him. "Don't worry, sir, it won't affect you." But Dan Wusung's piercing gaze silenced him. "No, I won't let this slide." Mok flinched, intimidated. "Yes, sir," Dan Wusung declared, rising with resolve. "No need for more letters. I am returning to the family now." Later, at another location, Mok in Hyopi slammed the table, exclaiming to his teammates, "The young master's completely changed. He is a true martial artist now, with a physique like a tiger." The others exchanged glances and burst into laughter. Young Master Lee Jin Eon, a martial artist, that gambling, womanizing playboy, no one believed him. "He is probably a master of the bedroom or the casino," one scoffed. A brown-haired youth added, "If he is a martial artist, I am the greatest hero in the martial world." They joked, "Even the vice captain getting a wife sounds more believable." A menacing figure loomed over them. Han Yopi, the vice captain of the Unha merchant group's guards. "Enough," he barked. "The young master's spirit has clearly recovered." Smirking, he added, "He has had martial talent since childhood, so it is no surprise he is a martial artist now." Turning to Mok in Hyopi, he asked, "When will the young master return?" Mok, watching his chastised comrades, replied nervously, "Right now, sir." Han Yopi shouted, "The young master's returning. Let us go greet him." A guard muttered, "Greet that playboy." Han Yopi snapped, "Mind your words, who pays your wages, move." At the gates of the Unha merchant group, Dan Wusung marveled. "It is massive," he thought. "I would only heard of the Unha merchant group's reputation. Seeing it now, its scale is staggering." Li Jin Eon was truly raised in luxury. Addressing the maids, he said, "I will see father now. You all rest." "Yes, young master," they replied. As he walked, he muttered, "No one's here to greet the eldest young master." Just then, the entire Unha merchant group's guard, swords in hand, formed ranks and shouted, "Welcome back, young master." Han Yopi bowed deeply. Han Yopi, vice captain, greets you, sir. He stared, amazed. "I almost did not recognize you. Thank heavens you are healthy." The brown-haired guard thought, the vice captain's got no shame. Recalling Li Jin Eon's past, always mocked and dismissed, he expected more ridicule. But Han Yopi smiled warmly. Dan Wusung, grinning, clapped his hands. "This welcome for a useless guy like me. Isn't it a bit much? Thank you all." The guards gaped, stunned. "He thanked us, that weakling." Mok and Hyopi chimed in, "I told you, the young master's changed like a mysterious master returning home." Han Yopi watched Dan Wusung's back, smiling. "And he is on our side. A blessing for the merchant group." Han Yopi led Dan Wusung to a closed room. "We have informed the family head of your return," he said. "Good, thanks," Dan Wusung replied. Another figure approached. Scratching his head, "Isn't this?" A hand clapped Dan Wusung's shoulder. It was Li Su-eon, the third young master of the Unha merchant group. Sneering, he said, "Li Jin Eon, the useless lecher, your face looks like a different man's now." His grip tightened, eyes glaring. Han Yopi, recalling past tensions, panicked. "Damn, the young master's about to get beaten." He pulled Li Su-eon's hand away, forcing a smile. Brothers reunited after so long must be thrilled, right? A brutal slap answered him. "Who are you to touch me?" Li Su-eon snapped, leaving Han Yeop's cheek red. Dan Wusung watched silently. Li Su-eon mocked, "That playboy's not enough trouble. Now even the vice captain disrespects me." Dan Wusung's eyes sharpened. Time to teach him a lesson so he will never underestimate me again. His hand flashed across Li Su-eon's face. With one punch, Dan Wusung sent him reeling. Blood spurting from his mouth as he collapsed. Han Yopi stared, dumbfounded. Li Su-eon, shocked and intimidated, gasped. "What?" Dan Wusung extended a hand. "Little brother, I was nervous coming back here." His grip clamped down on Li Su-eon's shoulder, making him wince in pain. Trembling, Li Su-eon fell under the crushing pressure. "You madman," he muttered. Dan Wusung tightened his grip. His face terrifying. "Madman, no, you are the one mistaken. You call me elder brother." The morning after at the Unha merchant group, a figure emerged from a whispering crowd. "This is Li Hua-eon, the second young master of the Unha council," the steward announced. He glanced toward his father's room and asked Han Yopi, "What is all this commotion?" Han Yopi replied, "Sir, the eldest young master and the third young master are having a scuffle." Li Hua-eon thought, that third brother's causing trouble for big brother again. Worried, he snapped, "Why did not you stop them?" But as he entered, he saw Li Jin Eon disciplining Li Su-eon. "Quiet, Su-eon. We are right outside father's room." Su-eon's face was scratched from the beating. Dan Wusung turned, wondering, is that Hua-eon? Li Hua-eon, stunned by the scene, stood speechless. Soon, steaming tea was served. Sipping his cup, Hua-eon silently watched Dan Wusung beside the cowering Su-eon. He spoke softly. "I heard you returned, brother. You look much healthier now." Dan Wusung nodded. "Yes, I am fully recovered." Hua-eon touched his bandaged hand. Glancing at Su-eon, "Did you do this to our third brother?" Hesitant, he added, "It is not that bad, though he is not scared yet." Just then, Dan Wusung raised his hand, landing a brutal slap across Su-eon's swollen face. Like a true demon, he made Hua-eon tremble. "You should not draw a sword against your elder brother unless you want punishment." "Understood." Su-eon, nearly in tears, mumbled, "I understand." Poor Su-eon, Hua-eon thought. He was so bold earlier, now reduced to this. Hua-eon reflected, Jin Eon beat our third brother. He used to be so weak, barely dodging Su-eon's blows. Smiling wryly, he asked, "What happened at that clinic, brother? You seem like a different person." Dan Wusung grinned, "Do I? You have got a sharp eye." Suddenly, he noticed something and picked it up. "What is this?" Hua-eon explained. "It is a list of staff for tomorrow's merchant group meeting." Dan Wusung scanned it, thinking, a staff list. Smirking, he said, "I wanted to find out who ordered that physician to harm me, but maybe I do not need to anymore. You have listed everyone from the vice-captain of the guards to the gatekeepers. His mind zeroed in on Oh Young-ho, the guard captain. Setting the list down, he turned to Hua Eon and Su Eon, his gaze icy. If either of you is connected to Oh Young-ho, tell me now. Both brothers froze. Hua Eon stammered. Brother, you really think that is possible? Su Eon, fuming, added, that is absurd. I would rather die than see another clan take over our business. He continued, the Unha merchant group is father's priceless legacy. Dan Wusung smiled, satisfied. Good to hear. Then I won't need to deal with either of you. Standing abruptly, he asked, will all the merchant group's leaders be at tomorrow's meeting? Yes, Hua Eon replied. Understood, I will attend too. With that, Dan Wusung dashed out, leaving the brothers sweating. Where's he going? Hua Eon asked. To see father, Su Eon muttered, annoyed. What happened at that clinic? Hua Eon wondered. Su Eon grumbled, I should have gone to Mount Wasan. I would be stronger than him by now. In another room, a voice called, come in. Dan Wusung entered where his father, Lee Tong-min, head of the Unha merchant group, lay. Jin Eon, is that you? Tong-min asked, puzzled by the noise outside. Dan Wusung dodged, it is nothing, father. Sitting down, he said, I heard you are unwell due to the merchant group's stress. Tong-min sighed, yes, this old body can't handle it anymore. Raising a frail hand, he touched Dan Wusung's face. You have changed so much for the better. You are really Jin Eon, smiling warmly, he added, I am glad you are healthy. Dan Wusung nodded, but inwardly, he was conflicted. Strange. His own past lacked parents. He would watched his father abandon him in the rain. But Jin Eon's memories showed Tong-min as a great, noble man. Gripping Tong-min's hand, Dan Wusung thought, when did he become so frail in my eyes? He spoke firmly, father, do not worry. We will eliminate the source of your stress. Tong-min blinked, startled. Eliminate, Dan Wusung continued with a savage grin, leave it to me. It is nothing, father. I will handle it. Tong-min's heart nearly stopped. Why is he smiling like that? It is terrifying. The next day, at the Unha merchant group's council meeting, everyone was present, including the man Dan Wusung aimed to confront. Oh Young-ho, captain of the guards. A subordinate whispered, Captain, is not that young Master Lee Jin Eon? Dan Wusung sat with arms crossed, his face stern. Oh Young-ho frowned. What is he doing here? Smirking, he thought, he is probably worried about his position. Lee Hua-eon spoke up, any other opinions? If not, we will move on. A hand shot up. I have one, Oh Young-ho said slyly. I hear the eldest young master lacks a personal guard. I would like to recommend someone. A council member, furious, gripped his teacup tightly. Half the Unha merchant group is already under the O family's control. Doesn't he know when to stop? Suddenly, a force shattered the cup in his hand. What? The man gasped. Did I say something wrong? Oh Young-ho smirked. My apologies, my hand slipped. No one dared speak. Any objections to my proposal? He asked smugly. No one, okay then. Suddenly Dan Wusung raised his hand. I have a complaint. Stepping forward, he pointed at Oh Young-ho's smug face. I propose expelling Oh Young-ho, captain of the guards. The room erupted in shock. What? Oh Young-ho's guards snickered. Surely you know how much our captain cares for the merchant group's safety. Dan Wusung met Oh Young-ho's mocking gaze. The captain sneered, expel me, you must have forgotten, bedridden for so long. But that is not your call. Dan Wusung grinned, is that so? Shall I raise the Fist King's punch to make you fear? A massive shockwave erupted from his devastating fist, shattering the surrounding stone. Just a little scare for you. Oh Young-ho, pale and trembling, stared up at him. Dan Wusung declared, you forgot without my strength here, you got a bit too confident, did not you? This Unha merchant group belongs to me. Understand? Minutes earlier, Lee Hua-eon hurried after Dan Wusung, flustered. Brother, expel Oh Young-ho. Is that why you joined the merchant council meeting? The O family has sunk their claws deep into the merchant group. Ousting him won't be easy. Dan Wusung stopped, turning to him. Do you know what happens when a martial artist is underestimated by their enemy? Pointing to his face, he grinned. The arrogant one ends up dead. Hua-eon's gaze dropped. Take a good look at the merchant group's situation, Dan Wusung urged. Do you want to see our family's legacy stolen by him? Hua-eon's eyes widened, realizing, he is right. When did the O family start seizing control of the merchant group? Dan Wusung clapped a hand on his shoulder. But I am here now. You do not need to worry. Smiling confidently, he said, I will handle everything. Hua Eon forced a smile, thinking, he will handle everything. Back in the present, Hua Eon was in a panic. How will this work? I hope brother stays safe. The floor lay in ruins, shattered by Dan Wusung's punch. Oh Young-ho's men rushed forward. Young Master Jin Eon, what is the meaning of this? Oh Young-ho, sweating, thought, is he insane, daring to challenge me? He is finally snapped. Han Yopi charged in, shouting, how dare you draw swords against the eldest young master, stand down. Others raised their swords to protect Dan Wusung. But Han Yopi froze when Dan Wusung spoke. You lot, he said, exasperated, have been utterly disrespectful to me. Glaring at the crowd, he continued, drawing swords against the one who pays your wages. Laughing, he added, you must not want to live. I was going to spare you a way out, Oh Young-ho. I even felt a bit sorry for you. Oh Young-ho scoffed, sorry for me. Dan Wusung raised an eyebrow. Because I have ruined your plan to seize the merchant group. Remember, you thought having that physician poison me would work. You stirred conflict between my brothers, hoping to exploit the chaos and take control. As father grew weaker, you would sway more servants to your side. He sneered. You treated everyone like puppets to manipulate. Did you really think your petty schemes could take over the Unha merchant group? Oh Young-ho, shameless, laughed loudly. Young master, you are overthinking. Dan Wusung stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder and whispering, let me tell you something terrifying. That physician, he is dead. Oh Young-ho's face paled, his eyes wide with horror. Dan Wusung's gaze was resolute. Your plot ends here. Still in disbelief, Oh Young-ho stammered, the physician's dead. Dan Wusung said coldly, don't be sad. One punch, and he was gone by my hand. Turning away, he added, if you want to control this merchant group, you will need better schemes. But it is too late now. Oh Young-ho, enraged, shouted, you. Unleashing his martial energy, he snarled, arrogant brat. Dan Wusung glanced at him. Just what I wanted. Oh Young-ho leapt, roaring, you are dead. But could anything stop Dan Wusung's fist? Their powers clashed. The shockwave so intense the onlookers shielded their faces. Oh Young-ho frowned. Thunder technique, he knows martial arts. Retreating, he jumped back. His men were equally stunned. The young master has martial skills, he blocked Captain O's sword. Dan Wusung scratched his head, smirking. You are a bit hot-headed, but I like it. His face lit up, no matter. This will be our fight. Oh Young-ho gritted his teeth. This arrogant bastard will pay for underestimating me. He shouted, all O family guards, bear witness, the eldest young master and I will have a formal duel. Sneering, he added, is that to your liking? Dan Wusung assumed a fighting stance, his fists radiating power. A fight to the death, perfect. Oh Young-ho drew his sword. I did not expect your martial skills to progress so quickly in such a short time. You must have had some fortunate encounter. He lunged, but Dan Wusung dodged a slash effortlessly. Experience. Dan Wusung scoffed, charging a punch behind his back. You think you have more life and death experience than me. A single fist slammed into Oh Young-ho's stomach, sending him flying dozens of meters, blood spraying from his mouth. How is he so strong? Oh Young-ho thought. Dan Wusung's expression did not waver. Let me show you the difference between us. Using his lightness skill, he appeared before Oh Young-ho in an instant. Another punch flew, but Oh Young-ho blocked it with his sword. Struggling to hold his ground, he endured a barrage of Dan Wusung's relentless fists, barely dodging. Sweating, Oh Young-ho realized. Something's wrong, he does not fight like a novice. Through Jin Eon's form, he sensed another presence, a grandmaster. Gripping his sword tightly, Oh Young-ho thought, no way my men think I would lose. Raising his blade, he unleashed the triple sword form. I won't lose, he roared, furious. But Dan Wusung was untouchable, darting beneath him in a flash. Oh Young-ho's eyes widened. When did he move there? Dan Wusung's voice was icy. Goodbye. A punch smashed into Oh Young-ho's smug face, sending him crashing through a wall. The crowd gasped, eyes wide. Lee Su-eon stood agape. Even Lee Tong-min, seated nearby, noticed the commotion. His physician, serving tea, stammered, what did you say, master? Tong-min touched his hand, gazing out. My son, he has learned martial arts. Oh Young-ho lay defeated. Blood pooling from his mouth, motionless. Dan Wusung looked down coldly. His men, panicked, lifted Oh Young-ho, glaring at Dan Wusung. "You bastard," one shouted. Dan Wusung's voice cut through. "Who else wants to die?" The man fell silent. Another spoke, "The duel was fair. I bear witness." Bowing, he added, "But if the O family seeks revenge through more duels, the Unha merchant group won't avoid the fight." The crowd was stunned. Dan Wusung said calmly, "Fine. I never expected to escape grudges. If someone shows me kindness, I will repay it. If they hold a grudge, I will return it in full." He declared, "If anyone dislikes my methods, take it up with me, not the Unha merchant group." Li Hua-eon, worried, said, "Brother, that is dangerous." But Dan Wusung was firm. "I have said it, this merchant group belongs to our family." He recalled his frail father. The guards' welcome. The maid's joy at his recovery. "This is our home. There is no place for scum like you." With disdain, he ordered, "If you understand, get out. You are expelled." The crowd cheered, elated. Oh Young-ho's men, defiant but defeated, fled. "You will regret this, Unha merchant group," they shouted. Dan Wusung stood tall before the crowd. Mok and Hyopi, trembling with excitement, wanted to celebrate but was hushed. The young master won, a guard scolded. "Fool, do not celebrate yet. We guards should be ashamed for standing by." Dan Wusung called, "Hua-eon." "Yes, brother," Hua-eon replied. Pointing a finger, Dan Wusung said, "Buy me some medicinal herbs." The crowd laughed. "I am taking responsibility for the merchant group, so I deserve some support, right?" Hua-eon grinned. "For you, brother, I will get the best tonics and hire new guards." "You will be busy." Dan Wusung nodded. "Speaking of guards, I have some candidates in mind." Under the twilight, elsewhere. A scar-faced youth with two burly men smirked. "You are sure, that Lee Jin-eon?" A few days earlier, on the first day Lee Jin-eon joined the Unha merchant group's activities. Dan Wusung followed Han Yopi somewhere. Suddenly, he noticed something and asked, "Vice Captain, speaking of which, have you eaten anything yet?" Han Yopi blinked, confused. "Me, not yet. I have been working since dawn." Dan Wusung let out a knowing "oh." His face darkening with a scheming glint. "Is that so?" Glancing down, he saw a few men snickering. Some work so hard they forget to eat, he thought, while others waste time carousing on someone else's dime. Anger surged, and he smashed a luxurious railing to pieces. "Living extravagantly off others' money, I will clean this mess up." Dropping the stone fragments, he mused. "The problem is, I need to find someone to replace that position." Then he spoke aloud, "Oh, I have got just the guys." That night, a brightly lit house buzzed with revelry. Drunkards gathered. Some gambling. Others smoking. At one table, two men whispered, "Wait, are not those the fools, huh?" Dan Wusung appeared. His sharp gaze swept the room as the whispers continued. "Look, it is the eldest young master of the Unha merchant group," thought he vanished for good. "Wonder how much he will throw into the gambling den this time." "So exciting," they sneered. A sealed room was guarded by a fat man at the door. Spotting Dan Wusung, he grinned cautiously. "Young master, long time no see. Feeling generous again. How much are you sponsoring this time? Stay back, do not want to get grease on you." The man froze as Dan Wusung coldly pushed the door open. "Grease." Stepping inside, Dan Wusung faced a scar-faced man and two burly twins. The scar-faced man, Dok Myung-ho, was eating, feigning surprise. "You are here." Dan Wusung stared icily. "This is Dok Myung-ho, once called Lee Jin-eon's friend." Dok Myung-ho sized him up, smirking. "You look healthier than before. Rest did you good, huh?" The twins, Rock Jin-bo and Rock Myung-bo, chimed in. "Brothers here, been a while." Dok Myung-ho laughed loudly. "Good heavens, you lot are cold as ice. Our brother was sick, recovering for a while, and now he is back." "Say something," one twin replied. "Didn't know, my bad." "That is more like it. Not some commoner, but our friend." Dan Wusung ignored them, thinking, friends. Dok Myung-ho and Lee Jin-eon were childhood buddies, but it was one-sided. Memories flashed, Dok Myung-ho beating Jin-eon to steal his gold. A violent relationship mixed with loans, yet still called friendship. Dan Wusung glared at him. Friendship means something else now. On the table lay a pile of gold coins. Dok Myung-ho spoke up. "Back after so long, let us have some fun. Your hands must be itching after all that rest, right?" His shameless face betrayed his greed. The one itching to fleece someone is me, he thought. With the Unha merchant group's young master back, I will throw a grand party. Shaking his head, he added, why so quiet? Dan Wusung closed his eyes. I am thinking. Thinking what? Dok Myung-ho asked. A glint of killing intent crossed Dan Wusung's face. Should I kill him? He calculated. Dok Myung-ho is not the key, it is the twins who follow him. They are wasted serving a thug like him. He spoke firmly. I have decided. Dok Myung-ho snapped. Hey, you ignoring me, I heard you. Dan Wusung flashed a fake smile, raising a hand. First, hand over the key to the safe. The room froze, staring at him. Dok Myung-ho played dumb. Safe key? What nonsense, you that desperate for cash? Dan Wusung sighed. Today, I am just here for the money. Counting on his fingers, he said, let us see. I have spent thousands of taels on this lavish lifestyle interest. Losses from scams, medical bills from beatings. He glanced up. 10,000 taels sounds fair. Dok Myung-ho stared, incredulous. Then burst into manic laughter. Our Jin Eon learned math while sick. What do you think? Standing, he slammed the table. Crazy bastard. Pointing behind him, he sneered, that safe's got more than 10,000 taels gold, silver, jewels too. Stepping closer, unaware of the danger, he taunted. None of that money's yours, kid. Still laughing, he added, need cash, I will lend you some. Why demand the safe key? Dan Wusung closed his eyes, silent. Dok Myung-ho's grin faded. His anger flaring. This punk keeps ignoring me. He ranted. I was sympathetic because you were sick, but you barge in demanding the safe key and won't even answer me, spitting nonsense. Snarling, he shouted, wake up, you bastard, I am Dok Myung-ho, forgotten me. As Dan Wusung placed a hand on his face, Dok Myung-ho swatted it away. Hey, Lee Jin Eon, you brain damaged, don't want to live. Turning to the twins, he barked, his mouth glued shut, make him kneel, beat some sense into him. Yes, sir. One twin, Rock Jin Bo, stepped forward, pressing Dan Wusung down, unaware he was provoking a viper. Dan Wusung warned softly, such a pity. The twin hesitated. Grabbing his hand, Dan Wusung said, I was generous enough to give you a chance. With one hand, he hurled Rock Jin Bo several meters, crashing through the door. The other twin, Rock Myung Bo, charged fearlessly. Dan Wusung dodged effortlessly, planting his hands on the table and kicking out, breaking Rock Myung Bo's leg. The twin collapsed, gritting his teeth in pain. Turning back, Dan Wusung sighed. This is strange. Both twins, despite broken limbs, struggled to their feet, faces defiant. They can still stand, he was impressed. No fear in their eyes. Truly loyal lackeys. As the twins rushed him again, he dodged with ease. Fine by me. In a flash, he vanished from their sight, leaving them stunned. Where'd he go? Right behind you, Dan Wusung said. Grabbed both of their bald heads. He sneered and joked. What a waste for you two to be here. With a brutal headbutt, he knocked them out. Sit still, I won't be lenient twice. Having dealt with the twins, Dan Wusung turned to Dok Myung-ho, whose face was now pale with fear. Damn it. Dan Wusung said with a gentle smile. Just you left, my old friend, huh?